everybody, and welcome to another Revan1207 Discusses. Before I get into the topic for today, make sure if you enjoy the video to leave a like and a comment with your thoughts on the topic, and make sure to subscribe for more gaming videos. So today I have something that I have been thinking about doing for quite a while, and I've had it ready to do for quite a while, and I'm just now getting around to it. I have a list of the top 10 Star Wars games that I want to see made at some point in the future. So before I begin, I'm just going to say that none of these are confirmed or anything like that. Some of them are rumored, but none of them are completely confirmed to be in development. I just want to point that out. So starting things off at number 10 is a new Star Wars strategy game. We haven't had one of these for about a decade, a little bit less than that I think. The last Star Wars strategy game that came out was Empire at War back around 2006 if I remember correctly. So it's been a while since we've gotten one, and Empire at War is a very good game. I don't play it very much because I'm personally not a huge strategy fan, but I know a lot of people out there are, and I do enjoy playing Empire at War from time to time. And you know, it's been 10 years. This one, Empire at War, is a bit outdated as far as the graphics and everything goes, and with the modern technology and everything we have, it could really look pretty spectacular, because one of my favorite things about Empire at War was the space battles, and those looked great. So with modern graphics and everything, those would look spectacular. So that is number 10 on my list. So number 9 is some sort of new Lego Star Wars game. This is probably going to happen, but I just wanted to put it on the list because it is something I'd like to see. Now, they could either do this for something like Star Wars Rebels, or for the upcoming Star Wars films, being Episode 7 through Episode 9, as well as the Star Wars standalone films like Rogue One. I'm not sure how likely either of these would be. I know that if they were to do one based in the sequel trilogy, being, you know, Episode 7 through Episode 9, that it wouldn't be able to come out around the same time as Episode 7, because, well, unless they're already developing it, they only have like 5 months to do it. And I don't know how long it would take to make it, but still. I was thinking that maybe if they did something that goes with the new movies, that maybe at some point they would release it and it would have Episode 7 content, and then they'd do something like they were planning to do with the Lego Hobbit game, which is when Episode 8 comes out, release DLC for Episode 8, and then Episode 9 release DLC for that as well. And maybe do the same thing for the standalone films. And Star Wars Rebels, they did a Clone Wars Lego game, so I'm sure that Star Wars Rebels would be a fine choice as well. I haven't seen it. I've heard mostly good things about it, and I'm sure that it would probably make a good Lego game, and I'd still probably get it. I didn't really watch the Clone Wars either, because at the time I didn't have Cartoon Network, which is the channel that played Star Wars The Clone Wars, but I still did get the game. I loved it, so I'd probably do the same for Rebels. But anyways, I think that a new Lego Star Wars game would be a great game to have them make. So the next one at number 8 is one that is rumored to be in development, and that is a Han Solo game. We have not seen a solo Han Solo game. I just said solo twice. We've never seen one, and I think it would be very interesting to make one because Han Solo is a very interesting character. You could like be going and doing stuff for Jabba the Hutt and smuggling and fighting Imperials or whatever along the way. Although I'm not sure if he fought Imperials before he became a rebel, but just fighting people, I suppose. Fighting bounty hunters or whatever. And this could also potentially tie in with the rumored Han Solo movie, which is one of the rumored standalone films, but they could make a Han Solo game to tie in with that, And who knows, it could be a pretty good game, because Han Solo is a great character, and if they do things right, it can turn out to be an amazing game. So that is number 8 on my list. Number 7 is a bounty hunter game, or Star Wars 1313 being revived. We haven't seen a bounty hunter game since the days of Attack of the Clones, when Star Wars Bounty Hunter came out on, like, PlayStation 2, I think. I never got to play it because I didn't own a PlayStation 2. But I have heard great things about it, and I think that a bounty hunter game would be a very good choice, because we haven't really seen that in video games or in films, other than the bounty hunter game that was released back around Attack of the Clones. And with all of the praise that the 1313 gameplay got, I myself really enjoyed it, and I thought it looked very interesting. I think that there is definitely a lot of people who want to see something like this. It could be a much darker take on Star Wars, which we haven't really seen much of before. I don't know if any of the books or anything have had that in it. I know that, like, Death Troopers was more of a horror kind of thing, but this would be like the side of Star Wars that we don't really get to see as much. And I think that would make for a very interesting game and something fresh and new that we haven't really seen before. So that is number 7 on my list. So number 6 is a Force Unleashed type game, or the rumored Darth Maul game. I don't know if there's still rumors going around of the Darth Maul game, but it was rumored in the past, and I think it's a very neat idea. The reason why I'm not saying a Force Unleashed 3 is because although I enjoyed the Force Unleashed 2 as a game, you know, playing it and everything, I didn't like the story very much. To me, it didn't make very much sense, and in my opinion, they should have just left it at the first game and not made any sequels. So that's why I'm not putting Force Unleashed 3, as much as I would like to see Starkiller return, because he is one of my favorite Star Wars characters. I just don't think a Force Unleashed 3 is something we really need, and I don't really think the second one is something that we needed. I mean, if it was done better, then, you know, that would be a different story, but I digress. This sort of Jedi game hack and slash thing that the Force Unleashed was very entertaining. I have played the Wii and the PC versions of it, and I enjoyed both of them. And the Darth Maul gameplay that was shown, or leaked rather, looked very good. Some people said it was simply a modification to the Force Unleashed because they could see assets and stuff that was in the Force Unleashed, I think. But even still, it looked very good, and I think a Darth Maul game would be very interesting, because he's a pretty cool character. He is probably one of my favorite Sith characters from the movies, and probably just about anything, actually. He just has this cool mystery to him, because you don't really, in the movies, get any of his backstory. He's just sort of there, and I think that's very cool, and they could probably expand upon that, and, you know, this game could be a prequel to Episode 1 and sort of explain his story a little bit more. So anyways, that is number 6 on my list. Number 5 is a Star Wars Republic Commando sequel, whether that be Republic Commando 2 or something like Imperial Commando, which was in the works but then cancelled for no apparent reason, unfortunately. Republic Commando came out about a decade ago, and it was absolutely amazing. If you haven't played it, I suggest that you go play it. It's very good, and a lot of people were begging for a sequel and still are, and then they cancelled it, and then many people were sad. I think that a Republic Commando sequel would be a very interesting thing to do, because Republic Commando is a very unique Star Wars game, because we haven't really seen a squad-based game like that before. And they could either go with a new Commando squad, or they could go with Delta Squad from the first game. I think I would personally rather see Delta Squad return as the playable squad. And just right now I'm going to go into spoilers, but this game's been out for 10 years already, so it's just deal with it. So at the end of Republic Commando, my favorite commando, Sev, goes missing in action, and I think if Delta Squad was included in Republic Commando 2, then it would be very interesting to sort of see how they were dealing with that and the loss of this squad mate. So Star Wars Republic Commando 2 is a game that I would definitely love to see, so that is why it's number 5 on my list. Number 4 is a game that takes place either after Return of the Jedi or during the time that the new movies are going to be set in, being Episode 7 through Episode 9, which takes place about 30 or so years after the original trilogy. So I think that since the new movies are coming out, they're going to want to put a video game or two or books or whatever out there to sort of expand upon the story. And I think that maybe if they did a game that sort of bridges the gap between either Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens or The Force Awakens and Episode 8, I would really love to see either of those. I think it would be very interesting to see sort of how the characters from The Force Awakens came to be if they were to make the game between Episode 6 and Episode 7. We could see, you know, how Kylo Ren became a Sith, or how different things happened, maybe how like the First Order came to be, which for those of you who don't know is pretty much the Empire. And I just think it's a very interesting idea, and I'm sure a lot of people would love to see it and see sort of what happens in this new time that we are going to be seeing. So that's why it's on this list. Number 3 is a stealth game. I haven't played very many stealth games. Pretty much the only ones that I've played are actually like the Batman Arkham series, but I thoroughly enjoy the stealth in those games. It could maybe be included in the Han Solo game for like the smuggling, or it could be included in the Bounty Hunter game, or in Republic Commando 2 if they decided to put stealth into that. But anyways, I would like to see some sort of Star Wars game that has stealth as a part of it. Maybe it could be like the Rogue One sort of game, which, if I remember right, the story of that is a group of rebels that are going to get the Death Star plans. Maybe they could make a game surrounding that story, and you play as that group of rebels, and you have to sort of use stealth to get around, do missions, and finally get the Death Star plans. So anyways, that is why it's number 3 on my list. So these top 2, if you've been following my channel for a little while, you probably know where these are coming from, because I've made at least one video on each of these games. So number 2 is an RPG or a Knights of the Old Republic 3. If it was going to be Knights of the Old Republic 3, I'd probably have it up tied for number 1, but just because I'm also having it as an RPG, I'm just going to keep it at number 2, because number 1, I would like to see more than just an RPG, but if it was a Knights of the Old Republic 3, then I'd like to see it as much as number 1. So just keep that in mind, I guess. So I really like RPGs. I am a huge fan of the Knights of the Old Republic games. I have played both of them as well as the Old Republic, although I haven't played the Old Republic quite as much. I think an RPG is a very fitting genre for Star Wars, simply because there's a lot of different types of characters in Star Wars, and lots of different, you know, RPG type things, I suppose, like doing different kinds of missions like bounty hunting or things like that. But a Star Wars RPG or Knights of the Old Republic 3, preferably a Knights of the Old Republic for me personally, although I would be happy with just an RPG. Either one of those is something that I would definitely love to see, so that's why it's number 2 on my list. So number 1 is an open world Star Wars game. I love open world games. I don't own a whole lot of them, but the ones that I do own I absolutely love, and I would really like to see an open world Star Wars game. This is one of those other ones that's rumored along with the Han Solo game, and honestly I hope it's this one rather than the Han Solo game. I think that, like RPGs, the open world genre works very well with Star Wars because there's a lot of large planets, and you could like travel between these or just in one of them in the open world game. For example, you could like either travel from different planets, or it could be set on like a place like Coruscant or Nar Shaddaa, where it's pretty much just a planet-wide city. And you could go exploring and stuff like that, and it could just be a very fun game. I'm not sure exactly how they'd set it up, like what the story or anything like that would be, but I think as long as it's an open world game, I will definitely try to play it, and it's something that I'd really like to see, so it's number 1 on my list. So anyways, that is the top 10 Star Wars games that I would like to see made at some point in the future. Leave what Star Wars games you guys want to see down in the comment section below, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this little video, and yeah, see you next time. Have a nice day.